It's good to finally meet you. I've heard many good things about you. Apparently you're a skier. Have you managed to get out? I've seen lots of videos of friends skiing so far successful. I don't know whether you've got back to it.
Well, I actually had a terrible accident about 2 years ago. I fell off my motorbike and broke my leg. So no skiing for 2 years, even if there was no pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do miss it a lot. And actually that fall and that inability to function had a lot to do with how SejutaKG came about as an idea. Just a lot of time thinking about things and a lot of time dwelling on my mistakes in my health, in taking care of my health. Yeah.
Absolutely. Silver lining. Okay. So yeah, do tell us about Sejuta quickly. So where did it come from? Like, what's the story there? How were you guys born? What's the vision for you?
Yeah, in the background, having been involved with the hat from early days, coming up with a use case has always been running at the back of my mind. And it really is just a coming together of a lot of different things that I have been working on, and everything just dovetailing together into the pandemic when the emphasis, the concern about general health and what we all call comorbidities just became so important. And so obesity being one of them, which is a comorbidity in by itself already, with hypertension, diabetes, and high cholesterol. So that just gave even more impetus to do something at scale to address this problem. On the macro, that's the macro picture. On the personal level, I was inspired by some people in my family, how they actually did manage to lose weight despite the stress, despite the difficulties of living with the pandemic. And I just started taking notes of how they did it, what pushed them to do it, and how they kept, most importantly, how they kept it off. Because as any dietitian and nutritionist will tell you, it's really easy to lose weight. It's just really hard to keep it off. Yeah.
Consistency being the key. That's interesting. So what is the situation in Malaysia at the moment? What was the impetus to launch Sejuta sort of on a wider scale?
Great question, Ben. We are the fattest country in Southeast Asia. We have a 50% obesity or overweight rate, a 16% pre-diabetic rate, probably more, actually. I think that's an underestimate. It is even before the pandemic, they were saying it's already a silent epidemic. It is a huge concern for the government and for civil society, and action that has been taken to address it has been, really slow and really, like work at a snail's pace. So, yeah, it's a very serious situation.
It's a well-known community, I guess. It's something that's talked about. It's something that's talked about within a community fairly regularly. It's quite a well-known issue.
Yeah. It's pops up regularly in newspapers. Either a government or a spokesman will say something about this, or a statistic will be released by the ministries about that, about diabetes, about whatever. Once in a while, the newspapers know they have to show a inspirational story of someone who is losing weight. So yeah, plenty of rich material for us to do our market research. But yeah, it is definitely a concern.
No, I love that. So for folks there'll be probably folks on call who aren't familiar with what it is specifically, like the how of what Sejuta's doing. So what is it you guys are executing? And I guess the small short-term goals of that, and then we can maybe discuss long-term goals afterwards.
Right. For now, we're using a pithy 3M's acronym to explain what we do. The first M is giving the user tools to develop mindfulness is the word that we're trying to find. That first M, which is to say, being mindful of how diets are affecting your health, specifically your weight, because we can track that better. And over the medium term, how it's affecting your weight, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And because nobody intentionally becomes this way, it's always just sort of, I blinked and suddenly I was at a weight that I couldn't even recognize myself. I was 2 sizes too big. So the data account is key to developing that mindfulness by encouraging the user to just populate it with more of his or her own data. So that the thing that impressed me a lot about people was that they managed to lose weight is they really treated their bodies as almost like a science experiment in progress. If I do this, if I eat this, this is what will happen. I'll see the effects maybe 2 or 3 days later, but I will see it. And we're trying to equip people with that mindset and with those tools as well. So mindfulness for one, and that's basically a tracker for right now their weight, but hopefully more things like their diets and also certain key metrics that can be issued by a typical lab assessment report. So that's one, mindfulness. The second one is motivation. Always a big troublesome thing to deal with, and we approach motivation in 2 ways. One is we put it out there and say we are giving away a prize. We're giving away a prize for healthy living, for losing weight, and these are the terms and conditions which I won't go into. But basically, it's to encourage healthy weight loss, not crash dieting, and we structure the contest to do that. The other way we deal with motivation is to get the community involved, because what we see from people is a lot of people need the push that comes from somebody else giving that push. It could be a relative, it could be a dependent. In fact, a dependent pushing you to be healthier seems to be the strongest case. It's like you're taking care of me. You need to be healthy. Or it could be the other way around. It could be a guardian being concerned for their dependent. So trying to structure and get their involvement into the user's journey to get healthier is very key to that as well. And that's going to be rolled out in our community, in our forums, and our chat, messaging groups. So, and even financially, because some of the stories we've heard of, people get so thankful and gratitude that someone out of the blue just bought them a healthy a meal or a fitness equipment, just no strings attached and no judgment, just giving you a push to get you to a good, healthier space. So that's motivation. And the last one is merchants. We live in a commercial world. We are defined by the stuff that we buy, the identities we carve for ourselves, carved by the stuff that we buy. And so it just makes sense to pull all the merchants that help us as a community achieve this goal together, to collaborate, to market, to think of solutions, and prime this audience so that they are receptive to those merchants. So meal plans, nutritionists, dietitians, lab assessments, those are all going to be helpful to the user on their journey to better health. And on the side, we also have rewards. Reward yourself if you're doing well. Give yourself a pat on the back, maybe a new wardrobe, things like that. So there are a lot of possibilities for merchants to come in to help the user on this journey, and also to motivate them as well. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded. Sorry.
No, it's actually. I think for me, it highlights how you guys are slightly more unique. That there's a lot of different campaigns out there that work in different ways, and what you've just described for me is the first time I'm hearing it. Certainly, it's actually very holistic and centered around a combination of the individual and the community.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting hearing that. As a former athlete, I've got a lot of friends in CrossFit, for example, and they're always complaining, why is it people's bodies is the last thing they take care of?
Right.
Like you tend to your phone and your Snapchat and whatever else in your body.
Yeah.
Never. So yeah, it's just interesting hearing your thoughts on like, oh yeah, buy yourself a new wardrobe. I mean, that's a great, actually simple reward. Or and there's the other thing, of course, where apparently folks live longer if they've got someone to care for.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Creating that connection. So what does your user journey look like? You guys are using an app, is that right, to engage the community?
Yeah, we're using a web app for now to engage the community to create a personal data account that will track their progress on, to start with, the weight, but more, hopefully will be enriched with more things like what they're eating, and also some key things that are measured periodically, like blood sugar, triglycerides, things like that. So the thing that personal data account does as a tracker is how the challenge is actually to how do we motivate them to use it as much as possible. And so key to that was making sure that we are not some faceless corporation, and that we are a nonprofit, a community service organization that is trying to get this data inputted and made you more mindful and make you more aware of what you're doing, and therefore just definitely it's how do I say it? It's key to starting this whole thing was the fact that we are a nonprofit, and it kind of goes. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but it just kind of doesn't make sense to me to have a profit model where you actually make more profit with the user being less healthy. It's kind of, so yeah, so straight from the start, we had to do this as a nonprofit, and that's why data and how it's managed, kept, and owned by the user was really, really important.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge.
So yeah, I'm sorry to answer your question. So yeah, the second, after we have the data import, is how we connect them to the merchants. So we actually create data passes to identify whatever part of the journey that they are on. So we have basically the basic participant user data pass is that I'm keen to lose weight. That's basically announcing to the world that I want to lose weight, announcing to the merchants that I want to lose weight. And if the merchants want to pick up on that vibe and offer that, that's what we're trying to facilitate. Next upgraded data pass would be a contestant data pass. And that's basically, I want to lose weight for real, and I want to win prizes, basically. So that one's a little bit more stringent. You need to get your height and your weight verified. You need to go to a network partner to get yourself verified, and then go on a journey that he's going to plan for you. So then there's a last data pass, which is a supporter data pass, which you can also join and participate to help the community. And that's also an important data pass, because that's where you come in and say, I really want to help. What can I do? And that's where we will also have merchants to advertise to those supporters to say, this is what you can do to help.
Yeah, it's really unique, actually. So just to clarify, so in my head, the way it works, I wish to lose weight, and I hear about the SejutaKG campaign through, I'm guessing, how do you guys market yourselves? Is it online?
Okay. So currently we have two flows. One is offline to online, and one is online to offline. Because we could do an online to online, which is where they sign up online, and then we verify their height and their weight online. Maybe. But so yeah, I'll start with online to offline. Offline to online first. Offline to online would be where we put our materials, our form. I can't share screen, but basically we have a really nice form which shows you, which actually helps to educate the user. It tells you, according to the Asian BMI standard, what is the healthy weight range. I know there's a lot of controversy about BMI, but the Asian BMI standard is correlated with a lot of our non-communicable disease outcomes of death and hospitalization. So it works at the level that we're dealing with, and weight is honestly something easy for people to track. So we go with Asian BMI, which is basically a normal weight range of 18.5 to 22.9. And then beyond that is overweight, and above 27 is obese. So we put that on the form, and we show them that actually, look, it's a finite goal. We're not asking you to starve till you're nothing. Okay, it's a finite goal, and we calculate that finite goal based on that form, and we tell them based on healthy weight loss, it'll take you 6 months, it'll take you 9 months, it'll take you 12 months. So, and then people look at it and say, oh, that's not so bad. You know, if I can stick to something like this for 12 months, I can do it. So they sign up, and they collect their data account, data pass, and then they get their height and weight verified at the merchant, and they're on their way. Their data account has been created. They have started their chat discourse with us so that we can give them tips and give them reminders on what to do, how to lose weight, how to not binge eat, and things like that. So that's offline to online. And that's facilitated by that form with QR codes to sign up at our website and things like that. Online to offline would be someone coming to our website through our social media, finding he's very interested, signing up online, and he can proceed on this way just from there. But if he does want to be a contestant in this challenge and win prizes, he does need to proceed to an offline merchant to get his height and weight verified and scanned, and then data transaction performed, and then he'll be joining our program as well. So that's these two flows.
That makes sense. I mentioned it earlier in the call. For those viewing the video, the goal is what, 1 million kilos across the nation?
Yeah, so I have to give a big shout out. I'm by no means a big innovator here. This is a big, just a shout out and love and acknowledgement to the mayor of Oklahoma City. His name escapes me right now. I'm so sorry. He started this in 2007 or 8, I think, and it basically declared that Oklahoma City is going on diet. His campaign was also to lose 1 million pounds. So we're upping the stakes and saying 1 million kilos. And we're throwing in a lot more new tech that has been developed along the way, such as personal data accounts, social media, and prizes and things like that. So yeah, 1 million kilos, we will be tracking that. Our best guesstimate is that it'll take maybe 3 to 5 years, I guess. Hopefully, we'll reach it there in 5 years.
For a long time. I hope for shorter. I think you guys can definitely beat Oklahoma.
Thank you.
So to summarize, it sounds like what's happening is obviously you've got these multi-channels. I love the combination of offline, online experience. There's actually very few technologies and companies that leverage that. So the data account, correct me if I'm wrong, is basically your central hub where for the offline to online perspective, they walk into a merchant store or a gym and they see this campaigns going on. They go, great, yeah, I'd love to participate in this. They QR takes them to the web app, is that right? Or your mobile app, whatever it looks like at the moment?
Right now, because we are starting with clinics, so the QR code will take them straight away to the data passport, to the data account, so that they can facilitate a very quick sign up. Because they need to get a really quick sign up and get a data pass so that they can turn around and go back to the offline merchant and fill up their ID on the form. And that form is their entry for the contest. So it's to facilitate a quick, easy entry into the contestant flow. So for the other merchants, like you mentioned, gyms, fitness, where it's more general, then maybe we will go straight to the website where they'll learn a bit more about the campaign in general, and then they can sign up there as well. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. And so you get this verified flow of health data being thrown around left, right, and center, and obviously folks are incentivized to stay on board as they see in the app, obviously, I guess, relevant merchant discounts like gym membership discounts, protein bars, or whatever it is.
Exactly. They'll see offers relevant to where they are on the journey, and we don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the road. Maybe there will be 3 or 4 different kind of data passes based on where they are, where their orientation is right now at that time. So maybe they are concerned about diet. Maybe they're concerned about fitness. Maybe they're concerned about sleep. All these things are affecting their journey to good health.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that brings me on to my sort of curious question, which is, how do you see this scaling, like beyond 6 months? how do you feel the impact of data accounts? Because obviously it's quite powerful being able to give individuals ownership of that information so they can securely share it. You know, they get matched to merchants and rewards, et cetera, et cetera. But where do you personally feel this is going to go? I guess in two areas, like one for individuals, but then two for communities, because really what you're talking about is a community program. It's a mass scale coordination program between everybody in Malaysia. So
yeah,
I'll leave it as an open question.
Yeah, and actually there's a pun there, but you have to know our language to know the pun. SejutaKG, Sejuta means 1 million. Kg means kilograms, but kg in Malay, in our Malaysian language, also is a short form for kampong, and kampong means village. It means community. So 1 million communities is actually embedded in our brand. So scaling, I honestly think it will be to do with what we learn from the users of what they choose to identify themselves else with. Right now, we only have a supporter, participant, or contestant data pass, but I'm pretty sure down the road, we will find more ways for users who want to be identified as and informed to other merchants. And probably it may go in a few directions. One is where people really get very concerned about their health, like you said, the people who decide to go into CrossFit and get really fit and muscular and things like that, or others who get to discover things about themselves they never knew they could do in another that their new healthier selves are able to facilitate. So we really will be, I think, following the journey of our users as they grow from there.
Yeah, I love that. I think the other aspect for me that's really interesting for what you're doing is because you have the merchant side, you're bringing in merchants through the merchant data terminal. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're able to help also diversify economies a little bit because you bat for the little guys on the corner stores as well as medium-sized firms and bringing business flow their way, relevant merchants their way and generating those relationships between them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit of a social campaign activation that we're trying to do, because merchants just follow cues, follow signals. So if we do raise the alarm bell and say this is a problem, you guys should step up, then we can probably see merchants being more responsible. I think that would be the first contribution that we would have. So for instance, meals. Our Malaysian food is known to be really tasty, really delicious. It's one of the things that we're very proud of. But unfortunately, it is also extremely carb heavy. Now, that's why it makes it so yummy. At the back of our minds, we know that we will have to overhaul our national diets without taking away all the good elements of it, good taste and everything. So probably that's one of the things that we need to push the merchants towards, which is for those doing meals to have healthy portioning, healthy balance of the right macronutrients, and this is actually supported by the government. They did launch a version of My Plate, which is basically suku separuh, which is quarter half, quarter carbs, quarter protein, half fruit and vegetables. So we will be definitely pushing our especially meal plans, takeaway meals, all these merchants, because that's, to be honest, that will help keep lights on for our operation, because meals are something you need to buy every day. That kind of repeatable data transaction is what we hope will keep our lights on. So that's very, very important to us. So and definitely we want to push business to those merchants who are responsible in that way. So.
That makes sense. Yeah. Just looking at the time, we've got a few folks on call. So if you have any questions for Gabriel, feel free to post them now. Be nice or be not nice if you don't want to. So that's really interesting, because it's basically saying that you have the opportunity to start influencing through your user bases to operate in a way that I guess is better for the nation. So it truly is mass coordination in that sense. The final question I have is very broad. It's quite, I'd say that most people in the world don't truly know what decentralization means, especially when it comes to something even more esoteric than data. So something like data rights.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really truly decentralized in my mind are stars or people, you know. Being less philosophical, how would you say that this decentralization of the way you are doing user journeys is going to affect your market? Do you have a view on that? So where you see this going, how scalable is that, etc.?
I don't know if I'm allowed to be philosophical about this, but my wife and I sometimes talk about data passports, sorry, it's not very romantic, but yeah, and we kind of agree. We always said it's plumbing. You know, everything that about data and how you handle it with this, it's just the plumbing. And here's the thing about plumbing, it's kind of really boring, but also really important. And good plumbing is the difference between a city in the throes of a cholera epidemic or a city that's growing and where everything is taken care of properly. And I don't mean to sound very ideological, but to me, a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 10 years, January 6th, what happened in Myanmar, which is atrocious. These are all social epidemics caused by bad data handling. And I think history will show that that's exactly how they will be viewed. And decentralization is definitely the way, if not a very important way for us to achieve that.
That's huge and very sobering. So we are at time, sadly.
Okay.
I've loved this conversation and meeting you finally. And
you're so easy to answer. I mean, it's so good to answer your questions. It just flows. You're really good. Thank you.
Thanks, David. I just love hearing what people are doing. Like, it's at the end of the day, to go along the sides of your sort of philosophical remarks at the end there. For me, technology should always be the invisible means to catalyze real world relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it, right? The technology shouldn't be the focus. It should be the way in which we can actually get closer to one another or achieve something, which in your case is, you know, non-profit mass coordination of an entire country. to lose weight to quite a high level, let's say in a year, let's go for 1 million kilos in a year, we'll push that. And
that's pretty ambitious the way you put it.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure chatting, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you in person sometime soon. We might get me out to Malaysia, and looking forward to our next fireside chat with, I don't actually know who we've got coming up in the symposium, but whenever that is, I believe it's the next few days with IFC and Ivan at World Bank Group. Anyway, good to see you.
Thank you, Ben. Nice meeting you.
Cheers, Gabriel.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.